Tonight I want to speak to the tired hearts in this room. The ones who have been holding on so tightly that their hands have begun to ache. The ones who lie awake at night replaying conversations, reliving disappointments, and trying to fix things that refuse to be fixed. I want to speak to the souls who have carried burdens so long they no longer remember what it feels like to walk freely. There comes a moment in every life when strength is not found in holding on. Strength is found in letting go. Now I know that sounds simple. 3 small words. Let it go. But anyone who has lived long enough knows those 3 words can feel heavier than mountains. Because letting go means accepting what you cannot control. Letting go means releasing the illusion that if you just try harder, worry longer, or push more, you can bend the world to your will. But life has a way of humbling us. You can love someone deeply and still lose them. You can plan your path carefully and still find the road collapsing beneath your feet. You can give your best and still be misunderstood. And when those moments come, many of us tighten our grip on life like a fist around sand. We believe if we hold tighter, we will lose less. But the tighter we squeeze, the more slips through our fingers. There is a wisdom older than our worries, deeper than our fears. It whispers quietly, but it carries the power to free a soul. Let it go. Not because it did not matter. Not because it did not hurt. Not because you are weak. Let it go because you trust that there is a hand greater than yours holding the story of your life. Too many people walk through this world believing they must carry everything alone. Every disappointment, every injustice, every unanswered prayer. They stack those burdens on their backs until their spirits bend under the weight. But you were never meant to carry the universe. There is a sacred surrender that happens when a person finally stops wrestling with what cannot be changed and begins trusting the one who sees the whole picture. Think about the nights when you stayed awake worrying about tomorrow. The problems felt enormous in the darkness. Your mind searched for solutions that refused to come. Yet morning arrived anyway. The sun rose anyway. Life continued anyway. The truth is, while you were exhausting yourself trying to control tomorrow, tomorrow was already on its way. There is something powerful about the moment a person releases their grip and says, I have done what I can. The rest is not mine to carry. And when you say that with honesty in your heart, something inside you begins to breathe again. Peace does not come from controlling everything. Peace comes from trusting something greater than everything. Now understand this clearly. Letting go does not mean giving up on life. It does not mean abandoning your dreams. It does not mean you stop trying. Letting go means you stop forcing. It means you stop wrestling with doors that refuse to open. It means you stop chasing people who have already decided to walk away. It means you stop punishing yourself for outcomes that were never yours to decide. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is stepping back and allowing life to unfold. I have seen people waste years trying to rewrite chapters that were already finished. They replay mistakes like broken records, believing if they suffer long enough they might somehow undo the past. But the past does not move backward for anyone. You cannot unsay words. You cannot relive yesterday. You cannot force someone to see your worth if they have already chosen blindness. But you can release the weight of it. And when you do, something miraculous happens. The energy that was once spent on regret becomes strength for tomorrow. The space once filled with pain becomes room for new possibilities. There is freedom in surrender. I have watched people carry grudges like treasured possessions. They hold on to anger because they believe letting go means the pain wins. But anger is a cage that locks from the inside. Every day you carry resentment is another day your spirit remains chained to the past. The person who hurt you may have moved on long ago, while you are still reliving the moment over and over again. Let it go, not for them, for you. Your heart deserves peace more than your pain deserves attention. And sometimes letting go is not about other people. Sometimes it is about the expectations we place on ourselves. Some of us believed life would look different by now. We thought we would be further ahead. We imagined certain dreams already fulfilled. But life writes stories that rarely match our first draft. You may feel behind. You may feel lost. You may feel like the path you planned has vanished. But trust this, a delayed path is not a denied purpose. What feels like a detour today may be guiding you exactly where you need to be tomorrow. There is a quiet courage in trusting the journey even when the map disappears. A farmer plants seeds knowing he cannot command the rain. A sailor raises his sail knowing he cannot control the wind. Yet both trust that forces beyond their control will carry their work forward. That is what faith looks like. You do what you can with the strength you have. Then you trust. Trust when the answer is yes. Trust when the answer is no. And trust even when the answer is silence. Because silence does not mean abandonment. Sometimes silence is preparation. There are seasons in life when everything feels uncertain. Doors close. Plans fail. The road becomes foggy. In those moments, the temptation is to panic, to fight harder, to demand answers. But sometimes the most powerful thing a soul can do is stand still and trust that what is meant for you will not pass you by. Letting go is not the end of hope. It is the beginning of faith. Faith says that even when you cannot see the path, it still exists. Faith says that even when life feels chaotic, there is an order unfolding beyond your vision. You see only the page you are standing on. But the author sees the entire book. There are people in this room who are holding on to relationships that have already ended in spirit. You keep trying to revive something that has lost its heartbeat. Let it go. There are dreams you are afraid to release because you invested so much time believing in them. Let it go. There are mistakes you made years ago that still whisper accusations in your mind. Let it go. Because your life cannot move forward while your soul is anchored to yesterday. You were not created to spend your days dragging chains from the past. You were created to walk forward with hope. And hope grows strongest in hearts that trust. Trust that what leaves your life may be making room for something greater. Trust that closed doors sometimes protect you from rooms you were never meant to enter. Trust that every ending carries the seed of a beginning you cannot yet imagine. I have learned that when a person finally releases what they cannot control, something sacred happens. The heart becomes lighter, the mind becomes quieter, the spirit becomes stronger, and in that quiet strength you begin to notice the small miracles that were always there. A new opportunity, a new friendship, a new direction. Life begins to open again, but none of it can enter a life filled with clenched fists. Open hands receive blessings. Closed fists hold only struggle. So tonight I ask you to imagine placing your worries down for a moment. Every fear about the future, every regret about the past, every question you cannot answer. Place them down, not because they are small, but because they are too heavy for one heart to carry forever. And when you place them down, lift your eyes with trust. Trust that the same power that spins the planets and paints the sunrise has not forgotten your story. Trust that the delays in your life are not accidents. Trust that the storms you survived did not come to destroy you, but to shape the strength within you. Let go of the need to understand everything right now. Let go of the need to control every outcome. Let go of the belief that you must solve every problem alone. There is a peace waiting on the other side of surrender, a peace that does not depend on circumstances, a peace that stays even when life feels uncertain. That peace comes when you finally whisper to the heavens, I trust you with what I cannot carry. And in that moment, something shifts. Fear loosens its grip. Anxiety softens its voice. Hope begins to rise like morning light after a long night. So walk out of this place lighter than you entered. Release the burdens you were never meant to carry forever. Let go of what you cannot control. And trust that the same hand guiding the stars is guiding you. Because when you let go and trust, you do not lose your life. You finally allow it to unfold. There is a quiet struggle that lives inside the human heart, a struggle between control and trust. Many people spend their lives trying to hold everything together with their own hands. They plan every step, calculate every outcome, and try to build a world that moves exactly the way they want it to move. They believe that if they think hard enough, work hard enough, and push long enough, they can shape every moment of their life into something predictable. But life does not move according to our tight schedules or our perfectly written plans. Life has its own rhythm, its own timing, its own mysterious direction. And somewhere along the road, every person reaches a moment when they realize that control is an illusion. They try to fix something that refuses to be fixed. They try to hold on to something that slips away anyway. They try to force an answer that never comes. And in those moments, the heart becomes tired. The mind becomes heavy. The soul begins to feel like it is carrying a weight it was never meant to carry. The life meant for you begins where control ends and trust begins. Control often disguises itself as strength. It whispers to you that you must manage everything. It tells you that if you do not control the situation, everything will fall apart. It convinces you that the future depends entirely on your ability to keep every piece of life in the exact place you think it belongs. But the truth is that life has never asked you to carry that responsibility. Look at the world around you. The sun rises every morning without your command. The tides move without your permission. The wind travels across mountains and oceans without asking anyone for direction. There is an order greater than your plans, a wisdom deeper than your understanding. Yet so many people walk through life as if they must personally hold the universe together. They worry about tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. They replay yesterday even though yesterday cannot be changed. Their thoughts spin endlessly around problems that have no immediate solutions. They hold on to fear like a shield, believing that if they worry enough, they can somehow protect themselves from pain. But worry does not prevent pain. Control does not eliminate uncertainty. All it does is steal the peace that could exist in this very moment. There is a different way to live, but it requires a courage many people never practice. It requires the courage to loosen your grip on life and trust that something greater is guiding the path. Trust is not weakness. Trust is not passivity. Trust is not standing still and doing nothing. Trust is the quiet confidence that you can do your part and still release the outcome. When a farmer plants a seed, he prepares the soil. He waters the ground. He gives the seed every chance to grow. But he does not stand over the soil demanding that the plant rise overnight. He does not try to pull the leaves out of the earth with his hands. He understands that growth happens in a rhythm he cannot control. That is trust. Many people miss the life meant for them because they spend too much time trying to control the life they imagined. They cling to relationships that have already ended in spirit. They force opportunities that never truly fit their purpose. They resist change because change feels like losing control. But sometimes the very thing you are trying to control is the thing standing in the way of your destiny. There are doors that cannot open while your hands are gripping the past. There are paths that cannot appear while your eyes remain fixed on what used to be. There are blessings that cannot enter your life while your heart refuses to release what has already left. The life meant for you begins when you finally understand that letting go is not the same as losing. Letting go is often the doorway to something greater. There are moments when life removes something from your hands not to punish you, but to prepare you. You may not understand it in the moment. It may feel unfair. It may feel painful. It may feel like a piece of your world has been taken away. But sometimes what leaves your life creates space for something that could never enter otherwise. Think about how tightly people hold on to plans. From the time they are young, they imagine exactly how their life will unfold. They decide what success should look like. They picture the people who will walk beside them. They design a future so clearly that they begin to believe it is the only path that exists. And when life begins to move in a different direction, panic rises in their chest. They believe something has gone wrong. But what if nothing has gone wrong at all? What if the detours are actually directions? What if the closed doors are protection? What if the delay is preparation? Control demands answers immediately. Trust allows time to reveal what the moment cannot explain. There is a deep peace that enters a person's life when they stop fighting every unexpected turn. That peace does not come from having every answer. It comes from knowing that the absence of answers does not mean the absence of purpose. Some of the most beautiful chapters in life begin with confusion. Some of the greatest opportunities arrive disguised as setbacks. Some of the strongest people in the world were shaped by seasons that made no sense while they were living through them. But trust changes the way you walk through uncertainty. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" trust begins to ask, "What is this moment preparing me for?" Instead of resisting change, trust begins to observe it. Instead of fearing the unknown, trust begins to explore it. When control loosens its grip, life begins to breathe again. Control creates tension in the spirit. It keeps the mind constantly alert, constantly calculating, constantly searching for ways to prevent anything unexpected. It treats life like a fragile structure that will collapse if one piece moves out of place. But trust understands that life is not so fragile. Trust understands that the same force that carried you through yesterday is capable of carrying you through tomorrow. Think about the many moments in your life when you believed something would break you. There were nights when you believed the pain was too heavy. There were days when the road ahead looked impossible. There were seasons when you thought you would never recover from what happened. And yet here you are. Still breathing, still standing, still moving forward. You survived moments you once believed would destroy you. You walked through storms you once believed would never end. Those experiences carry a quiet lesson. You were never as alone as you thought you were. There was a strength holding you together, even when you did not recognize it. There was a guidance leading you through the confusion, even when the direction felt unclear. Trust begins when you recognize that truth. Trust begins when you realize that life has been guiding you all along. This does not mean life will always feel easy. Trust does not remove difficulty from the human experience. Storms will still arrive. Disappointments will still appear. Loss will still touch every life. But trust changes how you carry those experiences. When control rules your heart, every difficulty feels like proof that something has gone terribly wrong. Every setback feels like failure. Every delay feels like defeat. But when trust lives inside you, difficulty becomes something different. It becomes part of the shaping process. A sculptor does not create beauty by gently touching the stone. The sculptor chisels away pieces that do not belong. The hammer strikes again and again until the hidden form begins to appear. From the outside, it may look like destruction. But in truth, it is creation. Life often works in the same way. The pieces that fall away from your life may feel like losses. The plans that collapse may feel like failures. The seasons of uncertainty may feel like confusion. But something is being shaped beneath the surface. A stronger patience, a deeper understanding, a wider compassion, a clearer sense of who you are and what truly matters. Control cannot see that process. Control only sees the moment. Control wants immediate explanations and predictable outcomes. Trust sees beyond the moment. Trust believes that even when you cannot see the full design, the design still exists. There are people who spend their entire lives trying to control everything, and they never discover the freedom waiting on the other side of surrender. They exhaust themselves trying to prevent every mistake, avoid every disappointment, and guarantee every success. But life was never meant to be lived like a battle against uncertainty. Life was meant to be lived with openness, with curiosity, with faith. Trust does not mean you stop working toward your dreams. It means you work with dedication while understanding that the outcome does not belong entirely to you. You plant the seed. You care for the soil, but you trust the growth. You walk the path. You take the steps available to you, but you trust the direction. You give your love. You show your honesty, but you trust that the right hearts will recognize its value. And when things do not unfold the way you expected, trust allows you to release the need to force the story back into your original plan. Because sometimes the greatest blessing is the life you never planned. There are friendships that enter your life unexpectedly and change you forever. There are opportunities that appear in moments when you thought the door had closed. There are directions that reveal themselves only after you release the path you once believed was certain. But none of those moments can arrive in a heart that refuses to let go. Control keeps your hands clenched, trust opens them, and open hands are ready to receive what life places inside them. Every person in this world reaches the edge of their control eventually. They arrive at situations where effort alone cannot solve the problem. They face moments where no strategy guarantees success. They encounter circumstances that force them to admit that life is larger than their plans. Some people react to that moment with fear. They tighten their grip even harder. They resist the unknown with everything they have. But others discover something powerful in that moment. They discover that when control ends, a deeper kind of strength begins. The strength to trust, the strength to release, the strength to walk forward even when the road ahead cannot be fully seen. And in that quiet strength, life begins to unfold in ways that control could never create. Opportunities begin to appear in unexpected places. Peace begins to settle in spaces once filled with worry. Clarity begins to emerge from confusion. Because the life meant for you was never waiting at the end of perfect control. It was waiting at the beginning of trust.